Hi there, I'm Maureen Calamia of Luminous Spaces Feng Shui,
And I'm Josh Heath from the Lodge at Woodloch's Naturalist.
and we are so happy that you're joining us today. Josh and I have done a number of workshops together at the Lodge at Woodloch, combining his forest bathing with my work on the 5 elements of Eastern philosophy. And you might be wondering, what is forest bathing? And Josh will tell you what that is in just a few moments. But first, since this is a nature session and we want to help immerse you in a connection with nature, you might want to pause this video and take us outside to your yard or on a balcony, or at the very least next to a window. And if you can crank it open a little bit, so you can get some of fresh air and nature sounds and hopefully some sun. Don't have a lot of sun here today on Long Island, but we'll wait for you when you come back. Okay, Josh, so what is forest bathing?
Forest bathing is it's an actual Japanese word that is Shinrin-yoku. So Shinrin-yoku is forest bathing. We didn't get too creative with this. It's just a direct translation of those words into English. So it's a walking meditation where you're going to engage as many senses as you can. Hopefully, we're going to engage those core 5, and then we're going to unlock as many more as possible.
All right, so let's start a little experience.
So let's start by taking a deep breath in. We'll take probably 3 or 4 just to get that. Phyton is the killer cells that the trees put off. It's a compound that helps protect the trees against bacterial and fungal infections. So as we breathe them in, and I'm underneath some really big pines today in my spot, and I know you're surrounded by nature in your spot as well, Maureen. So as we breathe those in, those phyton, they go to work and on our cortisol level because they raise our T cells, which are our killer cells. So taking in maybe 6 or 7 breaths, just each one a little deeper, getting that deep belly breath is what we're after. Breathing is a huge part of forest bathing. We want to get as many of those phyton into our body as we can. We'll head to our first sense, which is going to be hearing. We want to go off as far as we can, kind of finding that most distant sound, if you can. Today I've got a little bit of dense cloud cover, and I'm hearing some natural noises as well as some man-made noises. So kind of that cloud cover is keeping those sounds in and allowing that to come through, but there's other nature sounds as well. So kind of listen and go off as far as you can, finding that most distant sound. If it's loud and distracting, try to let it go. Fade into the more natural sounds. Once you find that sound, kind of come back towards your body, working your way back. Once you get to your body, we're going to take a deep breath in. This time we're going to do it with our mouth though. We're going to allow that air to come over our lips and our teeth and our tongue and kind of come in and settle in the back of our throat. Each breath you take, as if you're almost wine tasting the air. Try to see if you can pick up scents. tastes, notes in that air as it comes in and kind of rests in the back of your throat. And we're going to transition to smell. I like to start with my head down towards my feet, kind of smelling up as I come towards the tops of the trees. So starting low with your head down and then coming up. Once you get all the way up, kind of take a deep release of that air, starting over and coming back down, smelling the air as you come back towards your feet. You may notice the changes as you move high to low. That's the beauty of this, is that it's your experience. You get to notice things and change things. You'll hear me use those words throughout the rest of the series. What do you notice? What do you feel? So we'll start back on the left side, and we're going to sweep towards the right with the smell across our body. And then we're going to come back the other way. Now I encourage you to, and I invite you to move all the way back with your shoulders and your head and your upper body kind of turning all the way back to one side. And then sweep smelling across your body towards the other way. Allowing your feet and hips to stay stationary, but your upper body to move, coming back across. Let's go back the other way. And we'll come back to center. You may notice smells that are close by or far away, new, familiar, nothing, and that's okay. We're going to take our hands and we're going to go up. We're going to kind of go up and out and try to reach to the tops of the trees as high up as we can, reaching higher and higher, eventually stopping at the tops of the trees and kind of take a little feel around and see what you notice. What do you experience? What do you feel? And then we're going to head all the way up into the clouds. If you have clouds, if you don't, kind of just dance around all the way up towards that sun. Feeling the warmth on our hands, in our face, in our ears, and our nose, allowing that energy to come down into our body. We're going to work our way back towards the clouds, through the clouds, into the tops of the trees. And rest just a moment, allowing that energy to come down our hands and our arms and our chest, dropping into our hips and our legs, exiting into our feet. Our feet are kind of grounded and our hands free like leaves and needles. What do you notice? What do you feel? We're going to take a deep breath in. We're going to pull it in with our hands. And as we pull it in, we're going to pause as our hands come level with our shoulders. And we're going to exhale that deep breath when our hands come to our sides. Now take a moment, just kind of imagine what's around you. What do you feel? What do you notice? What can you hear? What do you smell? Just taking some visual, imaginative senses. What do you see without opening your eyes yet around you? Once you take that moment, go ahead and open your eyes. And now, what do you see? What do you notice? Is it different than when you first kind of got to your spot, whether it's outside, whether you're at a window? Do you see things? Did something change during these few moments that we had our eyes closed? Are the greens different than they were? Are the blues different? Does the light seem different than it was? At this moment, what we would typically do if we were all together is we do our share. I'd have a talking piece and I would invite somebody to start, and then we go right around the circle. So I think in this case, either you or I go first, Maureen, and then if they want to share with themselves or if they want to journal, it's also a good point. If you're isolated, you can journal these things that you experience, keep that journal. Because then if you come back to that spot, you'll have that kind of written record of what changed as you go along.
Yeah, I'll go first, Josh.
Okay, you get the talking piece.
Thank you so much for that. It was so calming. Because it is a little chilly and damp out today, you know, but wow, you know, it is interesting how the cloud cover does kind of hold in all noise, including man-made, but I was able to hear some birds off in the distance, and they really, really provided that wonderful connection. So I felt when I opened my eyes, everything was more vibrant for sure. And that is what this is all about, to immerse us into the natural world, right?
Yeah, I mean, that clarity sometimes is amazing. Like for me, the spot I have, actually why we were doing that, the sun has decided to peek out kind of, I'm up on a hillside, so I'm looking over into across the Delaware River into New Jersey. And so there's like patches of sun on the Kittatinny Mountains that are trying to sneak through, and the turkey vultures are soaring in the valley, and there's all kinds of blue jays around me. So of course, all I heard while we were doing that is the highway noise that's not very far from me as well. And I was like, is that coming in through, or is it the other noises? So I was even working, as I was working everybody through that, I was working, trying not to get distracted by that man-made noise. And all the other things I knew was happening around me, I was trying to pull that in. But that was tough. There's a lot of cloud cover today, and it sounds like those trucks are right beside me when they're not. They're a couple, 300-500 yards away, but sounds like they're driving right on the other side of my phone.
Yeah, and we can't hear them, so that's really good.
It's good. It's good for you.
But yeah, and what it just reminds us is that this is a meditation for all of you who don't do meditation. I mean, this experience of forest bathing is a meditation that is so deeply connecting to nature. And what it reminds us when we hear all this man-made noise is we live our lives in the everyday world. I mean, we are not secluded up in a mountain in a cave like a Buddhist monk. So we need to live our lives in this everyday world with everything else going on, but yet be able to kind of get that stillness and focus, right?
Yeah, and I think, you know, I often share the story from time to time on my walks, and that is when I first started doing this, you know, I had a very kind of almost unrealistic view of, you know, we got to get back on the far edge of the properties we can get, and we've got to be in this wilderness state. And on an April morning, probably 3 or 4 years ago now, I went with my family to New York City for the Easter holiday, and we were staying with some family on the Upper West Side, and I needed to get away for a little bit. So I went into Riverside Park and did a forest bathing experience, very similar to what we're doing now. I was stationary, wasn't walking, I was sitting, and it was probably to date one of the most profound forest bathing experiences that I had. And it was, you know, on the Upper West Side, Manhattan, in Riverside Park. And I kind of had this epiphany that if a boy from Maine can have this kind of a profound experience in New York City, people who live surely can. Like people who that is their norm can do this. You don't have to fly, you don't have to drive, you don't have to go to all these remote places. Any piece of outdoor nature, whether it's city park or whether it's your backyard or a balcony or an oasis that you create, which goes right into your line of work, right? With the feng shui and moving things to you and making that energy flow. It doesn't have to be Montana, New Zealand, these wild places can be
Right.
backyard.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now I just wanted to share with everybody how I integrate this into the 5 elements. I'm sorry, I'm just want to. Okay, so the 5 elements. Ooh. Okay, so the 5 elements of Eastern philosophy are wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. And what was so clear to me when I took my first forest bathing walk with Josh at the lodge at Woodloch was that all these elements are really part of this work because it's everything in the natural world. So we have the wood elements, which are the trees and the vegetation and their uprising energy. So we kind of did that little exercises going up. Then we have the fire element, which is the warmth of that amazing sun when she's out. Then we have the earth element, which is the soil beneath our feet, and it keeps us stable and grounded. The metal element is associated with the lungs and the air that we breathe, as well as the larger sky and open spaces. And finally, we have the water element, of course, which is rain and natural bodies of water and any water that we bring into our environment. So it just is really a wonderful, elegant way to put these all together. So Josh and I decided to do this series. Today was the introduction, and we will then do one on each of the elements to get you immersed in that particular element. And I'll also share with you some of the traits that are associated with each of these elements. Each video will be probably 10 to 15 minutes. So we hope that you enjoy them, and we look forward to your commenting and sharing. And if you are interested in learning more about the 5 elements, please visit my website, luminous-spaces.com. And I've got a True Nature quiz up there. And of course, the Lodge at Woodloch's Facebook page. We'd love to see you there too.
Yeah, you can check us out on all the social media platforms. You can go to our website. There's more information there. There's a blog spot right now that talks a little more about what forest bathing is and some of the ways you can do it at home. I mean, the biggest push right now is doing these remotely. And like some of the things that you do, Maureen, these are not just things that people can do with us at the lodge. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can do on your own, which is a lot of information out there. We have it on our website. So check it out.
Great. Well, thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you.
Okay.